Welcome back to what Arty Noobs, so General Disturbance. This is an AOD 178B. It's a tier 6 French wheeled vehicle. I hate to call them tanks really because they're not really tanks, they're just armoured cars with a bit more oomph. And well, this one's located on the south spawn of Overlord under the command of SlyMeerkat. Game started. Well, he's got the 75mm gun, which means he can do 110 alpha and penetrate up to 120mm of armour. But these things are as blind as bats. Basically, 290 meters is all they can see. So they rely on their speed, 65 kilometers an hour forwards and backwards, to get into the enemy territory, find the enemy, and then get the hell out as well. And they've completely broken the game. They've broken the game because they can spot all the enemy tanks next to no time, and then they can zoom to the back of the map and kill all the Arty, so they just ruin the game altogether. And I have to believe that the only reason Wargaming decided to bring these into the game was because they wanted something that could counter the Arty, and so they could turn to the tank lovers and say, look, we're trying to handicap the Arty, we're trying to make the game really bad for them so they give up and they don't play the game anymore. Because after all, what they want, what Wargaming wants, is for all Arty players to stop playing Arty and start playing tanks. But of course, what they're going to do is they're going to lose 20% of their players. Because although, well, technically more than 20% of their players. Because although this game has 5 different classes of vehicle, Arty actually is played by more than 20% of the player base. In fact, it has to be played by everyone if you want to complete the missions. And a large number of people play Arty almost exclusively, or they play it as their most played category. I know I certainly am in that category, because the vast majority of the vehicles I play are Arty. And so when Wargaming comes up with ideas like this, I find this very offensive, because basically what they're doing is they're trying to make other players in the game leave the game, or at least change what they play. And they do it by breaking the game. Now, my rant for the moment is over. SlyMeerkat's just been hit by the enemy and he's driving backwards as fast as he thought going forwards. Now, does anyone actually believe that a tank would actually go as fast backwards as it went forwards? No, because the driver wouldn't be able to see a blind thing, and he'd be completely relying on somebody else telling him where to go, and he'd drive into the first wall and crash. Of course he would. Does it look real that he's driving backwards as fast as he's going forwards? If he's not careful, he'll go over the edge of that cliff. When he's gone up to the edge of the cliff to get shots on the enemy, and the enemy spotted him, and that ARL, if he stays there, was going to get a shot at him, but he got wiped out. Well, SlyMeerkat's team are doing quite well because they've got 8 kills against 2 from the enemy. And I don't think he's going to have much luck trying to shoot over the edge of this cliff because they're just too damn close. And if he's not careful, he'll tip over the edge and he won't be able to get back. At least not without actually going down the full length of the cliff and being amongst the enemy tanks. And of course, if he got stuck halfway, they'd shoot at him until he was dead anyway. But he is doing quite well because he's managed to get some damage on the enemy, and he's actually doing well from the point of view that he's still alive. Most wheeled vehicles are dead by now. And he's actually locked onto the side of an ONI and he's putting shots into him, but he is receiving fire from an enemy tank, a T-3485. Now, by all rights, he should be dead by now. But because Sly is quite a good player, he's actually got himself into a position where he can get shots on the enemy. But now here's his nemesis. It's a T-3485. High alpha, and he got himself stuck on that tank trap, and the T-3485 went down because he was set alight. So a bit of luck there for Sly. And now he's coming up on a VK3002M. Was it D? Sorry, the Daimler version. which is the Panther precursor. And he's getting quite a few shots into that tank, and he set it alight, and it's gone. But he didn't get the arsonist on that one. But he's already got one arsonist anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And that's the end of the game. So this game has been made completely one-sided. And, well, SlyMeerkat did quite well. He got an ace tanker. And he also managed to get a bruiser, an arsonist, and a fire for effect out of that game. But he didn't pick up any epic medals, unfortunately, for him. But yes, he did fairly well. 3 kills. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, when we look at damage, he actually did get the highest damage in the game, but didn't pick up the high caliber, probably because it wasn't 20% of the enemy hit points in total. The next high score was KV2 of 1601, and after that it's that VK3002D that he set alight at the end, 1449 for him. When it came to kills, it was the Hotchkiss EBR on the enemy team who got 6 kills, or actually it's on his own team rather, Aki's 6 kills for him. 3 kills for SlyMeerkat, so that's the wheeled vehicles managed to get 9 kills between them. That's how badly they've disrupted the game, the fact that they can do this. It really is destroying the game to bring in these stupid tanks. And now Wargaming are going to bring in tanks with 2 barrels. I mean, really, yes, the only tank that actually existed that had more than 1 barrel was either the M3 Lee or that odd tank that we rarely see at tier 3. What was it, the MTLS, which actually it does have 2 twin cannons. But yeah, I think this is really just taking it far too far. Now they're making up fantasy tanks, and most of these are fantasy tanks, but actually the wheeled vehicles did exist in reality, but by bringing them into the game, Wargaming have broken the game. They've made it far worse because they've made the mechanics of these vehicles so bad that they are actually capable of wiping out entire enemy classes at the back of the map if they're given the chance. Well, getting back to the scores, because I'm still in my ramp mode, we can see that SlyMeerkat did very well in that game actually. It was a higher tier game and he actually got 1,105 base experience points, 797 to the Hotchkiss and 702 to the KV2. And when it came to details, he fired 25 shots, got 17 direct hits, 15 penetrations, damage of 1,667 hit points, received 2 hits, both penetrations. I believe both of them actually came from that T-3485M, who was making a pretty good go at trying to kill him until, of course, he got satellite, and that was the end of his game. He spotted 4 enemy vehicles, damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 3, and did damage assistance of 143 hit points. On the credit side, he earned 65,944 credits, but most of that's down to the Veni Vidi Vici, and he earned 3,316 XP for the game. Again, you know, I think this is down to the fact that obviously it's his first victory of the day. But I'm afraid this is a broken vehicle. And in fact, the whole class is broken. And Wargaming is deliberately trying to break the game. And this may be something to do with the fact that Wargaming are noticing a declining number of people actually joining the game. The game is dying. And this has been noticed by other people. So what are they doing? They're introducing new vehicles and new classes into the game to try and spice it up. But in doing so, they're actually ruining it for the people who are already there. Arty players are starting to leave. They're starting to look for other games. The very fact that Wargaming have turned around and said now that they're going to limit the number of Arty in the game is a clear indication that they think that Arty is still OP and they want to do something to try and stop Arty players playing Arty and make them play something else. Bringing in the wheeled vehicles is just changed the whole nature of the game as well, and has made it even worse. And if Wargaming carry along this route, eventually the game will just fall apart and people just won't play it anymore. And so Victor Kisley's going to have to find some other game to interest people, or others will move to a completely different game and he'll lose his profits. So there you go. My rant is over for the evening. Thanks for watching.